Good morning, good evening, friends. Welcome to my channel, Ek Kitab Se Ek Moti. Today, I'm going to talk about a very practical concept, or a set of practical techniques that can help us in our daily activities, especially when we have tasks that seem to be tiring or that seem to be draining us of all energy. So the theme or the topic of this talk is going to be this: steps to abounding energy. And I've taken this from a great book written by E. Stanley Jones. Now, E. Stanley Jones used to write most of his books in devotional form. That is, for each day he'll have a section to read and then a few verses to memorize. So I'm just going to read one of the pages from his devotional, The Way, and the subtitle of this book is Spiritual Growth and Study Guide. So I'm going to read from that book. But before that, let me just talk about E. Stanley Jones a bit. So E. Stanley Jones was one of the most famous orators of his time. I think I've already referred to E. Stanley Jones quite often in my other videos. And he was known for his devotionals, and especially his books on victorious living. I think he wrote it during the Great Depression in the US, when there was a great financial crisis and the markets were crashing, and there was a dearth or a kind of lack of jobs. So, and most people were depressed and hopeless. So it was during that time that he wrote this great book, Victorious Living, and it was a bestseller. So he wrote this book, The Way, as well, and I think this is one of my favorite books because it contains a lot of practical tips on how to overcome fatigue and how to have a positive attitude and how to get this supply of energy when you need it. So this is the book, The Way, a daily devotional and a spiritual growth and study guide, and this has been written by Dr. E. Stanley Jones. So I'm going to read a section that's related to energy, steps to abounding energy. But before I read that, let me talk about a few pages that precede this page or section. So before talking about how to receive abounding energy, he talks about the things that produce tiredness or fatigue. Why are we tired? So he lists quite a few things. I'm just going to briefly mention some of these, and then I'll read the section that I've chosen or selected for today's video. So here is that section: things that produce tiredness. From my own experience, I would list them as follows: self-centeredness, boredom, worry, fear, inferiority feelings, resentments, indecision, oversensitivity, inner guilt. So he lists 9 things that cause fatigue. So I'm not going to talk about all these, but let me just discuss some of them. So the first thing he mentions is self-centeredness. So he says, a self-centered person is usually an exhausted person. So self-centered persons have themselves on their hands all the time. Preoccupation with yourself will leave you tired, especially of yourself. The self-centered are trying to lie in an impossible way, namely, as though they are the center of the universe, and they are not. God is, and they are breaking themselves on that fact. They must surrender themselves to God, or else be a problem to themselves. No amount of rest can rest a self-centered person. He must turn the burden of himself over to God and let God be God. Then he will find release, and only then. Now, this is an excellent paragraph. I think I should have included this in the video as well anyhow. Then the next point is boredom causes exhaustion. So I'm not going to read the entire text, just the headings. Worry is also a major cause of exhaustion or tiredness. Fear produces fatigue. Inferiorities produce fatigue. Resentments produce fatigue. When you have hatred for others or a lot of bad feelings for others, you will be tired. Indecision makes you tired. Oversensitivity produces fatigue. Oversensitivity is something that we need to overcome, especially when you are an employee. I mean, you'll be criticized sometimes because you have you are responsible, you are answerable for your tasks, and sometimes your tasks may not be up to the mark. I mean, despite your careful attention and diligence, and especially even if you're careful and then if you try to eliminate all the mistakes in your duty or task, you might sometimes make mistakes. So you should not be oversensitive. Now, how you can overcome that, he'll mention that in the next steps to abounding energy, next few steps. So I'll just skip this. And the ninth is, inner guilt produces tiredness. When you're constantly blaming yourself and condemning yourself, you'll be tired. So how to get rid of these unwanted feelings, attitudes, and behaviors? So let's talk about that. Steps to abounding energy. Steps to get rid of fatigue and to live a life of abounding energy. Step 1. Get a physical checkup to see if there is any structural disease. If there is nothing serious enough to cause fatigue, then look for the causes elsewhere. They are probably in the mind and attitudes. So he was a very scientific gentleman. So he's first talking about some kind of physical examination to check whether there is any structural disease that's causing fatigue. So you do that first. Step 2. See if you have your minimum requirements of vitamins. I get mine from grass tablets. I think some kind of tablets may be popular during his time. So nowadays you have a lot of these tablets, right? I mean, you get these from Amway, a lot of tablets, calcium and iron and other nutrients, I think, or minerals. So what he's saying is you get the daily dose of vitamins for yourself. See if you have your minimum requirement of vitamins. I get mine from grass tablets, which have the whole range of known vitamins, and apparently some not yet discovered. They have a plus not known in synthetic vitamins. You may be vitamin starved. There is an intimate connection between vitamins and nerves. If you're vitamin starved, you'll be tired and nervous. So get your daily dose of vitamins as well. Third, if you're bored with your work, change your job or change your attitude. If it is not possible to change your job, then change your attitude toward your job. Do everything for the love of God. Step 4. Surrender to God everything which produces inner conflict. Surrender self-centeredness, worry, fear, resentment, oversensitivity, inferiority feelings, and guilt. These make you tired, for they are not the way. That is, they are not the way to lead your life on this earth. Step 5. Get interests outside yourself and give yourself to them. Don't retire. The retired are the tired. The retired are the tired. Turn to new interests and new tasks. Someone has said that life is counted not by the breaths taken, but by the breaths not taken. You will be breathless with new interests and tasks. You will be gasping with surprise at a world popping with novelty and needs, and at yourself meeting those needs. Step 6. Don't say I'm tired, rather say I'm fresh in God. The Africans have a saying, don't be tired tomorrow. Don't anticipate tiredness. Affirm health and adequacy. Autosuggestion is, in a sense, self-suggestion, giving positive messages to yourself. Autosuggestion, yes, and good autosuggestion. Far better to suggest health than suggest sickness. Step 7, this is the last step. Turn on health day by day by relaxed receptivity. Let the healing grace of God into every brain cell and nerve and tissue by periods of quiet relaxation in His presence. In India, there are stone slabs on pillars called sumatungas. I think he's talking about the sumaitangis in Tamil. That is the load-bearing stones they used to have during those days. In India, there are stone slabs on pillars called sumaitangis, so the people carrying burdens on their heads can rest them. So if someone, this was maybe a long time ago, so let's say someone is carrying a huge burden on his shoulder or on his head, and they need some rest for their body, so they can just place that burden on those sumaitangis. So 2 pillars with a stone slab on it, So that was a resting place, where they could unload their baggage or anything that they were carrying, and place them on sumetangi. So in India there are stone slabs on pillars called sumetangis, so the people carrying burdens on their heads can rest them. An Indian woman said, God is my sumethangi. So make God your sumethangi, let him carry your burdens, and then you forget them. So these are the 7 steps. Let's just briefly discuss these. So first was get a physical checkup to see if there is any structural disease. Now I personally am not a great fan of visiting hospitals and seeing doctors, but what he's saying is that it's better to get some checkup to see whether there is some structural problem that's causing this disease. So if you believe in doctors, if you believe in the modern medical system, you can go ahead and act on this step. Step 2 is see if you have your minimum requirement of vitamins. This is true. You get all these vitamins from food, but we really don't know, how much vitamin we are getting from our food, vitamin and minerals and other nutrients. So it's better to have some daily dose of vitamins for yourself. So he used to take these grass tablets. Nowadays you get it from different organizations, right? Different companies that come up with all these nutrients. So find out which one suits you, and you get on this daily program or kind of daily habit. You just acquire this daily habit of taking some vitamin tablets for your health. Step 3 is if you're bored with your work, change your job or change your attitude. I would suggest the second part, change your attitude, right? I don't think it's the job that matters. Whatever we do, we can do it with great enthusiasm and joy. We can get excited about any job. So that's why he says, do everything for the love of God, as Brother Lawrence used to do, or as St. Paul suggests in the Bible. And even the Gita says that, do everything for God. Do everything for God. Step 4, surrender to God everything which produces inner conflict. So all these things that produce fatigue, right, which we discussed earlier, so just surrender them to God. Just forget about them. Surrender self-centeredness. Don't constantly think of yourself. Worry, fear, resentment. Don't have ill will for others, against others. Oversensitivity. Don't be too sensitive. It's actually seems that being sensitive is fine, but oversensitivity is just another form of self-centeredness, where we are constantly thinking of ourselves, our own self-respect. Actually, if you see, this concept of self-respect is also a self-esteem, as they call it. It has 2 attitudes. If you think that the Spirit of God is in you, then you have self-esteem, because the self that you're thinking of is that godly self within. That's fine. But if you're constantly thinking about your physical features and your other abilities, and those things give you pride, then you are kind of you're placing it at the wrong place. Your foundation is built on a very weak. Your life building, or your life is built on very weak foundations. All these outside physical structures are going to crumble anyway. So just make sure that you don't be oversensitive. Inferiority feelings. You need not feel inferior at all, because that same godly spirit is within each of us. No one is inferior, no one is superior. And guilt. So all religions talk about the forgiving nature of God. So even if you've committed the worst of sins, it's always possible to take a U-turn and to completely eliminate and erase the feeling of guilt. Step 5 is get interests outside yourself and give yourself to them. So don't retire. The retired are the tired. If you retire and if you just make rest your goal, then you'll be really tired, although you keep resting, because the human beings have been designed to work and to perspire and to make use of their physical equipment given by God, the mental equipment. So keep using your mind, keep using your body for the benefit of others, and you'll find great joy in living. Don't say I'm tired, rather say, this is step number 6, I'm tired, rather say I'm fresh in God. So anyone who lives in God should be fresh. Why should we be tired? That's why he says, there's an African saying that says, don't be tired tomorrow. Don't think of all the things that you have to do the next day. Just focus on every day, live in day-to-day compartments. So say to yourself, I'm fresh in God. Seventh is turn all health day by day by relaxed receptivity. So just imagine that the divine light, the very soothing and gentle light of God, the kindly light of God, is relaxing your brain cell and nerve and tissue, and just relax yourself, and just believe that God is your sumaitangi, or that He bears your burdens or carries your loads, carries your burdens for you. So these are the things that you can do. And then he ends it with a biblical quotation, so which is, "Come to me, all ye laboring and burdened, and I will refresh you." So this applies to all religions. You just, if you're laboring and if you're burdened, just go to God and He will refresh you. He will give you new power and energy. So this is what I wanted to discuss in today's video. So I think the steps themselves have recapitulated themselves. I first read out these things and then I kind of briefly explained them. But anyhow, let me just follow my habit of recapitulating or kind of summarizing what we discussed. So there are certain things that produce fatigue, and there are certain other things that produce health. The basic concept or the basic takeaway from this is, if you're a self-centered person, you'll be tired because your focus is yourself. If you are an other-centered person, or you are a God-centered person, you do everything for the glory of God. You do everything to please God, and you do everything just to make others happy. And if you forget yourself, you will be the happiest person on this earth. You will be the most energetic person on this earth. So with these thoughts, let me conclude today's video. Thanks for watching. And you can buy this book, or it's available online as well. I was just checking some online copies. So there are 2 copies I saw on archive.org. They were published by Hodder. I don't know how it's pronounced, Hodder and Stoughton, I think. Stoughton or Stoughton, I don't know. So you have those copies. One was published in 1930s and the other one in 1940s, I think. So you can download a copy and read them if you are interested in reading this book. With that, I think I should conclude the video. Thanks for watching.